Do you hide from the zombies by staying put? Get out as quickly as you can, do you? And in a zombie-infested environment, what should you do? A handful of the tips we are about to discuss could help you keep your skin and your brains. What would your plan be to keep yourself and your loved ones safe if you had no access to running water, electricity, or a means out of your severely infested metropolis of zombies? What would keep you alive? Zombie apocalypses ought to be handled in the same manner as any other unknown that your city might encounter. The first and most crucial thing to do in light of the range of terrifying events we can encounter in our lives, whether it's a flood, earthquake, or a zombie shakedown, is to remain cool. Also, make a plan. If The Walking Dead has taught us anything, it's that surviving in an undead wasteland is not simple. The zombie apocalypse might sound like a fantastic opportunity to pay off your debts and catch up on your reading, but it's not that simple. We consult with professional preppers and survivalists to learn what the program gets right and wrong as it approaches its 11th and final season, as well as their survival advice. After all, a zombie apocalypse doesn't seem as unlikely as it once did after the past several years. Step 1. Stay at home. John Ramey, the creator of the survivalist business The Prepared, does not advise investing money in a bunker. Instead of thinking about things like bunkers, he quips, "Our attention should be directed at strengthening and hardening the existing homes and communities to make them more resilient, with doors that require many kicks to knock down. Your castle is your house. The ideal spot to weather any situation is there." He advises individuals to consider how long they can stay in their homes as a result. He asks, how long and how well can you do that if you had to lock yourself in your house right now with no gas, no water, no electricity, or communication? 2 weeks should be the standard because it covers the majority of events, including natural disasters. Some people prepare more thoroughly and can survive for 6 months. I've reached the stage where I can live forever. I have the unending capacity to produce food, locate and purify water, and do other things. Step 2. Supplies. If you don't get ready to scream and be eaten alive. You ought to have a good supply of necessities, says Ramey. He advises, consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs: food, water, health, and communication. First aid supplies are required. Water storage is a prime illustration. A gallon of water per person per day is the general recommendation. In other words, 45 gallons if you live with 3 people for 2 weeks. Can you capture and store water over the long term? Then, there are the accompanying therapeutic products. Do you have a reverse osmosis system, a water filter, or perhaps a UV purifier? To transform untamed water into drinkable water, you need some skill. A bug-out bag, or a bag of essential goods you can take when you need to leave the safety of your house, is something else you should have. Lighter or waterproof matches, an emergency blanket, a sleeping bag, freeze-dried food, batteries, a solar radio, a water purifier, a camping stove, a knife, a gun if you're able to have one, and a medical kit are on Cameron Carlson's shopping list. He is also a member of the Zombie Research Society, a tarp that could be used to construct shelter if necessary. A 9-volt battery and AAA steel wool, the really fine stuff, are 2 helpful hints. Steel wool can be compressed to pack a lot into a very compact space and can readily catch fire when touched with a battery. Step 3. Skills. Ramey also suggests buying a bike. He claims that the bicycle is the traditional bug-out vehicle. It is the human machine that is the most effective ever made. The fact that gasoline vehicles are still being driven 8 years later is one of the things that makes professionals cringe when they watch The Walking Dead. Gas has a 6-month shelf life. The thought that you'll find functional gasoline after 6 to 12 months of society collapsing is ridiculous, but you can add additives to it to extend its life. But if you cannot use them, it doesn't matter how many resources you have. The most important one, according to Ramey, is first aid and a fundamental knowledge of how to clean and bandage a wound. How would you react if Daryl from The Walking Dead was struck in the shoulder by a crossbow bolt? Although modern society is wonderful, over the past century, we have lost thousands of years' worth of arduous survival expertise. The ability to survive outside is also crucial. Similarly, Ramey continues, people no longer know how to navigate. Death by GPS is a term that is being used in the search and rescue profession. So, are you able to decipher a map? Do you possess fire starting skills? Do you understand how to build a shelter for the winter so you won't perish from exposure? Conflict resolution and situational awareness are a less obvious example. Are you observant of your surroundings? Are you able to diffuse difficult circumstances without using violence? Where to go? You might eventually have to leave the house and go for shelter elsewhere. Where should you go, though? If the zombie apocalypse occurs and you live in New York City or London, you probably need to get to the country to get away from people, adds Raimi. But that need to be alone might alter, even in a world overrun by zombies. Because eventually, you're going to need community, as we see in The Walking Dead. In contrast to this kind of lone wolf vision of strolling into the sunset with your dog by your side and a shotgun over your shoulder, community triumphs 98% of the time. Although it's a common belief that following a post-apocalyptic catastrophe, humanity will split apart. Practical Doomsday, a user's guide to the end of the world. Author Michael Zalewski doesn't agree. He claims that most individuals would prefer to suffer in silence than hurt an innocent person. But what about the actual zombies? It depends on whether they are the fast-moving, ravenous kind from The Walking Dead or the sluggish 28 Days Later style zombies, says zombie specialist Cameron Carlson. He says, "If they're quick, I know I'm not outrunning them. As a result, you must use stealth. Anyway, you can dodge them by moving in the shadows or underground. If you come into conflict with a fast mover, you will quickly learn that there are always more of them around. You're out of luck unless your group has several members who are adept and tactical with a weapon. Simply avoid sluggish people by moving around them. Dogs who can detect danger or significant changes are another suggestion made by Carlson. Dogs have a very keen sense of smell, much more than you or I, he claims. They would make effective warning mechanisms. Keep an eye on the dogs. If they start acting strangely, growling, baring their teeth, or pacing excessively, something is awry. They might alert you in advance. Of course, there is a fascinating distinction between how the US and the UK see gun ownership. How may this impact the chances of surviving a zombie apocalypse? However, if society is disintegrating and people are panicking, this could have a negative effect since more people will be armed. During the past 2 years, we have witnessed firsthand that even in a little catastrophe, around a third of society will go insane and be a nightmare to deal with. Blessings and curses, then. That's it. What is your strategy to survive a zombie apocalypse? Let us know in the comments below. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel.